Okay, we'll get started with Adam Grossbard, LA Daily News.
Hey, Chelsea. The team came in on a bit of a down note coming into the postseason. How have they looked in these first couple of practices and just in terms of preparing for this playoff game?
We're all in playoff mode. There's a kind of another gear you have to switch to during these times. I think we're built for times like these. But we're feeling good. We've had great practices, great communication, great energy. Just ready to finally have a chance and opportunity to play tomorrow.
Pavy, H&B Media.
Hey Chelsea, you just spoke about have the mode that you have to switch into when it comes to the playoffs. I want to know, is it kind of a breath of fresh air now to get to this part of the season, especially dealing with the season that you all have had? Like, is it just like a breath of fresh air to finally physically be playing for a championship?
Yeah, it's exciting. You build all of these habits, all of these games to finally get to this point, to be able to okay, what you've been working on all season, kind of, put yourself in position to be able to make a playoff run, and finally being able to be like, okay, finally we're here. Okay, it's time to, kick it up a notch and be able to compete at the highest level, the highest type of communication, the engagement. When you look at your teammate in the eye, it's go time, it's playoff time. And that's kind of been the feel within these last couple of days, and just our conversations over text and over phone calls, meetings, just ready to go and ready to hit the ground running.
Logan Murdoch, The Ringer.
What up, Chelsea? We were talking to Taya yesterday and about just how Candace has mentored her and how other players have mentored her. My question for you is, how was it for you to now be in the mentor role when not too long ago you were a rook and you were a young player in this league?
It's crazy to kind of think about. You start thinking of yourself and as a vet, and people look at you as that way. But it's made me better. It's challenged me. I got to be on my P's and Q's in case somebody comes to ask me a question. I got to be able to provide that for them. And if I don't have it right then, be able to find the answer. So it's challenged me in a different way. It's brought my game up mentally. It's challenged me as a leader on and off the court, to be able to bring that every day in practice, every day during the games, win or lose, having that same mentality. There's somebody else that wish they can be in your position, wish to be called a vet. So what you do with that is crucial. You want your legacy to be something special, and it starts with that leadership role that you have while you're being able to play. So, you leave a team and they're just like, that was a leader. I learned this from that person. And it starts from the moment you step on a team. And to be able to embrace that role now, it's refreshing. It's challenging at times, but I love it. I love being able to, share knowledge with other people, make sure that when they're in that position, they're successful. And Taya's doing one heck of a job being able to, come in as a rookie with this type of bubble season, unprecedented time. I really have a lot of confidence in her ability and what she's able to bring to this group of a lot of vets around her, and being able to have that confidence to do so.
Time for two more. We'll go to Pepper Pursley with Next Hoops.
Hi, Chelsea. Thank you for your time. In your last game against the Aces, you had 11 assists. How will you continue to distribute the ball and create your own shot against the Sun?
Great question. I think it's just important to be able to watch film and just understand the flow of a game, and really trying to start and see, how are they playing pick and roll? How are they playing this person? What are the matchups defensively? What kind of things were they harping on? You can kind of get a feel of that first quarter throughout conversation and what you're seeing there on the court, but also going back to game film and seeing habits that they're used to doing and trying to be better for the next time you play them. And that's what I've been doing over the last couple of days, watching some film, having conversation, seeing how we're doing things in practice to be better prepared for the game.
Last question will go to John W. Davis with Winsider.
Hey, Chelsea, I had a quick question for you. You know, going into a single elimination game, when you have time to yourself, what are you telling yourself and how are you mentally preparing yourself for this game?
We need a win to get in the series. Simple. Simple as that. Doing all the little things. Start building those habits so when we get in this series, we're ready. But it's win or go home. There's a different type of feel to it when it's win or go home. But, you know, when you step into series, I think people sometimes tend to get relaxed, like, oh, I may have another game. And it's unfortunate to, you know, kind of have that mindset. If we have the chance to get in this series, which I think we will, we can't have that mindset, but just one game at a time, one quarter at a time, 1 minute at a time. And I think we'll be able to find ourselves in that position. But just going out and doing the little things to make the big things happen, and we'll walk away with a W.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
All right, questions for Riquna Williams. We'll start with Logan Murdoch, the Ringer. Hello? All right, looks like he's not there. We'll go over to John W. Davis.
Hey, Riquna, good West Coast afternoon to you. How you feeling?
Good, and yourself?
I'm doing well. So what I kind of wanted to ask you about is, you know, going into this single elimination game, you know, when you have time to yourself, you know, what are you mentally telling yourself to prepare for this game?
Honestly, just try to focus on resting, and that involves shutting the mind off as well. Just taking a beat away from basketball completely. That's kind of like a reset button to get back to exactly where we need to be and where I need to be.
Pavy, H&B Media.
Hey, Riquna, you just spoke about, you know, kind of getting a reset. I just want to know, is it just a breath of fresh air, you know, to get to this point in the season? I'm sure it has been a very mentally taxing season for you all, and just, you know, knowing that you wanted to play for a championship coming into this season, just how is it just knowing that, okay, we physically have a chance to literally play for a championship right now?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the hardest part is still yet to come. We made it to the postseason, but this is where it gets tougher, you know, because everybody steps their game up and everybody's trying to make sure they're holding up that trophy at the end of the day. But LA have to do what's best for LA and go at our pace.
Go back to John.
What do you think some keys will be against the Connecticut Sun? Because you've already played them twice this season.
Keeping them off the boards, limit their transition points, and slow the game down to our pace. You know, we know they want to run. We know they're physical, so we definitely have to keep them off the boards and slow them down.
All right, thank you so much, Riquna.
All right, you guys have a great day.
All right, we'll start with Pavy, H&B Media.
Hey, Coach. You know, I've asked some of the players today, and now I'm asking you, just how much of a breath of fresh air is it, you know, now to finally, you know, get to this point in the season? I'm sure it's been a very mentally taxing, you know, season for you, but I know, you know, coming in, playing for a championship was one of the things that you all wanted to do. So I guess how is it now to have a chance to literally physically actually go out there and play for a championship?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, considering everything that it has taken from, you know, from our players and our staff, you know, the organization, the league, et cetera, like, you know, I think we're definitely thankful and grateful for these opportunities. You know, when you've been successful in the past, there's a tendency to assume that you will be in the future. And if you don't go out and put the work in and put the time in to give yourself an opportunity to accomplish your goals, objectives, you know, it won't happen. And so I'm just really happy for our players, you know, most importantly, because the sacrifices that they've all made to try and continue to compete at a high level when, you know, everything else was, you know, telling them that they shouldn't. right? To stare the challenges and the adversity and, you know, the moral dilemma of finding a way to still play basketball and enjoy it at a high enough level to be in the postseason and compete to win a championship. You know, I just think it says a lot about who these women are. And, you know, hopefully we can go out on the court and still, you know, put out that energy and passion that that championship teams need to have. But just to have this opportunity, yes, I think it's an amazing thing. And I'm happy for our players that we're getting this opportunity.
Christina Williams, Girls Talk Sports.
Hey, Coach Fisher. My question for you, you just talked about that championship mentality and culture, and you're someone who obviously won as a player. What has last year's playoff run with the Sparks taught you, and how do you plan to approach the game coming up?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think we learned a lot about, you know, our team and ourselves through, you know, our first year together. You know, I think there are some things that have definitely been able to carry over in terms of our relationships, you know, being more closely connected to one another, understanding, you know, just who we are as people and as human beings, you know, what motivates us, what makes us laugh, cry, smile, you know, et cetera. But the challenge, I think, with this season is that it's one of one. And, you know, similar to what we've seen in other sports, you know, so far, whether on the NBA side from basketball standpoint, the neutrality of and the common experience of being in the bubble and the single site scenarios, I think it changes your ability to carry something from before and say it means you're going to be able to do this now. If there's anything that I think take from last season in terms of, you know, playing in the postseason and now being back is, you know, I think still understanding that, you know, strategy and X's and O's and you know, things that we can do from that standpoint are really important. But you also still need to find a way to, you know, be strong together and to be willing to compete, you know, as hard or harder than your opponent. And, you know, last season, I think that Connecticut was the better team in that regard. And, you know, we have an opportunity tomorrow night to go out and show that we have grown in that area where we're going to go out and be willing to fight for every single possession and every single opportunity to win the game.
Logan Murdoch, The Ringer.
Hey, Fish, how you doing?
Good, Logan. How are you?
I'm good. I was talking to Candace yesterday and Chelsea today, and I asked them about how it is to mentor young players. And my question for you is, when did you find that transition from being a younger guy who was getting advice to an older player who was giving advice? When did that switch happen for you?
It's a funny question for me, man. Honestly, because I at, you know, early points, whether in college actually as a freshman and sophomore or, you know, at the professional level, I think that somehow that role of leadership and mentorship, you know, still would land on my desk or at my feet. I think that I was fortunate, in particular, once I reached the pro level, that there were guys like Shaq and Byron Scott my first year, and Eldon Campbell and Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones, and guys that were not necessarily significantly older than I was, but had, you know, years of experience in the league that could offer me some things to consider. And so I think it depends on the makeup of the team. And as, you know, Nick Van Exel got, you know, traded and Eddie Jones got traded and the personnel started to change, more leadership responsibility, you know, came onto my side of the ledger, Kobe's side of the ledger. And then we added some veteran players like, you know, Ron Harper and Glenn Rice and Brian Shaw and Rick Fox. And so I think for our team, you know, to bring it, you know, full circle, you know, the combination of leadership in terms of Chelsea, Candace, Nneka, Simone, and then, you know, I think the more quiet leadership from Riquna Williams and, you know, Sydney Weiss, who have both been here for multiple years, I think we have a good combination of leadership opportunity, but it's learning, I think to your question, when to do it, how to offer it. And I think sometimes when you are individually trying to cement yourself as a player, sometimes it's harder to look to bring others along. And so that's where I think the balance for Chelsea in terms of leadership and mentorship, this has been a really, I think, transformational year for her, where she's turned that corner of, performing at a high level, but also leaning on her voice a lot more to make sure her teammates are doing the things that they need to be doing.
Time for two more. We'll go to John W. Davis, Winsider.
Good West Coast afternoon to you, Coach Fisher. How you feeling?
Good, John. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. So what I wanted to ask you about was, what did you immediately do to prepare for Thursday's game after Shea Petty hit that shot and it was determined that you were going to play the Connecticut Sun instead of the Washington Mystics?
Yeah, I mean, it was late, last night here in Florida when that shot went in. But, still just went back and, watched a few more things before it got, too late. I was probably up another couple hours. We had already started reviewing, Connecticut, Chicago, Seattle, Washington, all the combinations of teams that we would possibly see, in the next, set of days. And so, being able to kind of turn the page from Chicago and Washington and just lock in specifically on Connecticut for a couple hours, it was good just to kind of set the practice plan for today and how to make it more, Sun specific. So, that was really the first step. And, I thought we were able to cover some of those things today in practice, which will be good for us. I think our team is better when we can be team specific, which during a season like this, where you're playing games every other day, it was really challenging to do that. And no practice time. So you really just had to rely on some key basic principles, which you still need to rely on. But we're better when we can be team specific, and hopefully that'll carry over as we get the game started tomorrow.
We'll go to two more. We'll go to Michelle, and then we'll end with Adam. Michelle, local ESPN. Go ahead.
Thanks, Eli. Thanks, Coach, for your time. Alyssa Thomas is one of those people that just the motor runs and runs and runs, and I felt like last night she kind of, if you will, threw the knockout punch against the Sky. You guys have a much deeper and frankly better post game, but what challenges does she present to keep her from sort of doing what she did to Chicago last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge is the pace and the force that she plays the game with. Over the course of 40 minutes, it's impressive and challenging to watch and prepare for. There's not really many players like her that play the game that way with the pace and the force and the ability to sustain it, over the course of a game. And so that's what, jumps out at you right away is, whether it's the first minute or the 18th minute or the 29th minute of the game, she really does empty her tank to help her team win. And, that's what great competitors do. And so, I think as a team, we have to, not just look at matching her effort and her, force and competitive spirit, but as a group, really finding a way to, dig deep down inside of ourselves and just know that that's really what a lot of winning comes down to, is your competitive spirit, your grit, your resilience, and your commitment to one another as a team. And I think we learned a lot of those lessons in playing Connecticut in the postseason last year. And, we have an opportunity tomorrow night, to see how much we've grown against, what we think is still a really good team, led by, DeWanna Bonner from a statistical standpoint in terms of scoring. But for sure, Alyssa Thomas is kind of the motor that makes them run. And, we have to make sure we have our hard hats on and we're ready to go to work.
Last question, we'll go over to Adam, LA Daily News.
Situation, like what do you tell players to help keep them calm in these type of scenarios?
It kind of broke up a little bit, Adam. I heard the last part, but if you can maybe repeat the question.
Just in being in a one and done situation, like what do you tell your players to keep them calm in this situation?
Yeah, no, I mean, they have more experience, than I do. I mean, I've been in some elimination games, in my career as a player, but, not often where, one game, the first game of the postseason is, an elimination game. So it is a unique experience that, I think for WNBA players is what makes it special. I think the fans enjoy it. I think the, television network enjoys it. And so I think the key from my experience in terms of, what is an elimination game is, really finding a way to maintain a sense of composure and poise, and focus on the things that you can't control, right? You can't control which officiating crew shows up. You can't control the emotional quotient and decision-making of the coach, the teammate, the opposing team. You can't control sometimes, how much energy the opponent is going to bring to the game. You really can only control you. And if each person can find a way to best manage herself, right? Her mentality, her mental, faculties in terms of decision making and clarity and focus, but being able to relax in that, to me, that's what allows you to be able to be yourself in these kind of one and done type of situations. That's what has worked for me historically. Everybody's different, but finding a way to be able to just stay in the moment, wrapped up in that possession and not putting too much emphasis on the totality of everything that is at stake. Like you're playing basketball right now. Connecticut's taking the ball out of bounds on the side. Where's the ball being taken out? Where should I be defensively? Like you're so locked into all of those small decisions that you don't even have the space to think about whether or not it's one and done and whether or not this will happen if this happens. And then at the end of the game, you win because you were more focused on all of those little decisions. And then the outcome kind of takes care of itself because you were better at that than the opponent. And, I just try to offer that to our players. But again, everybody's different and we all need these life experiences in order to sharpen our ability to be successful in certain situations. And it'll be another opportunity for all of us, tomorrow night to get better, regardless of what happens, but just to continue to learn how to be successful in certain moments.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, everybody.